What is up, YouTube? It is the Ville Outdoors here, and I am here at a spot I have never fished before. This is actually the Skipback Creek. They do stock this section of the creek with trout. I believe the last time they stocked it was a little over or right about 3 weeks ago. So whether all the trout are fished out of here or not, I don't know. This is a very pressured creek for trout fishing. A lot of people in the area, this is like one of their favorite creeks to trout fish at. It looks like a pretty good spot for trout, so we're gonna see if there are any left over in this creek. We're just gonna do a bit of walking around and seeing what we can see, catching what we can catch. I just want to catch some fish today. It doesn't really matter what it is. This is my first time fishing here, so I don't expect a whole lot of greatness, but we're gonna try and see what we can get. So I'm starting out here with a little gold spinner in hopes that there is something here, and I believe first cast we just got a trout and it popped off. All right, well, that was a brown trout on our first cast, so there is some fish here. We're just gonna hope that the next fish we hook actually stays on the hook, and hopefully that is not the only trout we see today. So you guys stay tuned, and hopefully I can put together a good video for you guys. Spinner hasn't been working out for me too much, so we're probably gonna switch to some slower stuff, like a smaller jig, something along those lines, and hopefully we can get a bite somewhere. I'm gonna try and walk far enough up this creek that we get the spots that not too many people venture out to, and hopefully we can at least catch something, because right now I haven't had a single bite since we lost that first fish at the very beginning of the video. All right, guys, so I switched up to a little orange trout magnet there. Now, I usually don't fish orange because orange isn't necessarily a natural color, but this water is just stained enough from the rain we had yesterday that I think orange may get the job done, and it'll have just enough flash to it to get some of these more aggressive fish to bite, and we can still work it slow enough to get some of the more passive fish to bite. Still trying to figure out this creek. Don't know where the fish like to pull up at, but we're gonna keep walking and try and figure it out. Holes are getting a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper, so we're gonna try and cover some more water. I tied on the Rapala original floating minnow jerkbait, and we're gonna try and cruise this along the holes here and hope that there is some bass in here that will crush this thing. It's kind of in that awkward time in between seasons where the fish are just starting to come out, but some aren't, and it's just weird. Usually mid-May is where it really starts picking up for reals, at least here at this particular creek. Other creeks that are less protected from the sun, I'm sure are quite all right. But this one got a huge tree line on either side, and the sun is just taking forever to hit this creek. The sun rose about, what time is it now? The sun rose probably 2.5 hours ago, and the sun has yet to hit the creek. That's how well being protected from the sun here. Makes the water temperatures a bit cooler because the creeks spend less time of the day sitting in the sun. Could slow things down a bit. Guys, we finally got a fish. We finally got one. Get up here. Get up here. Yes. Little small jaw on the Rapala. There we go. Not as big as the ones in our previous videos, but I will take that. That is our first fish of the day. Just doing a little bit of twitch pause, and we finally got one to bite. It's not a terrible one for our first time fishing at the Skipback Creek. Let's go ahead and take a picture of this guy and let him go. All right, guys, well, that smallie kind of released himself while I was taking a picture of him, so he kind of dropped the ball on that one. Hopefully that fish on the jerkbait here turns into a pattern and we'll be able to figure it out the rest of the day. I got some more pools like this one ahead of me, so we're gonna see what we can do. I was just casting this along the bank here, twitching it and button pause the whole way, and it finally came up and grabbed it right at my feet, kind of. So hopefully there is more fish to be caught in these holes here, and we can slice some smallmouth. In my previous video, we caught them all on the jig. Let's see if we can get some jerkbait fish here. All right, guys, just reeled in our second smallmouth of the day. Not quite as big as the last one, just a little bit smaller. But this one we were actually gonna get a release on because he didn't slip away from me. And you can see the sun's just starting to peek out above the trees here. All right, little smallie gonna go back. Oh, he went the wrong way, but he's back in the water now. Whew. And that is our second fish on the little jerkbait. See if we can get some more. Hopefully the fish will start to be more active now that the sun is poking up, and hopefully we can catch a nice one. So far those have been like average size creek smallies. We're looking for something a little bit bigger than that. With the bait and the size that we're using, we should be able to hook into a nice one if there's a nice one willing to accept our offering. Guys, this is gonna be our smallest one yet. Just a real tiny guy. He's got big mouth, I guess, though. This guy bit off a little more than he can chew. Little tiny smallmouth. But he still wanted that jerkbait just as much as the other ones. There he is, just a little guy. Nice fins on him though. Something happened to his one bottom fin there. Let's go ahead and let him go. My jerkbait snagged some grass on that when he still came and crushed it, because I felt the little pull of the grass, and then I felt the smallmouth come at it. There's my sun. Hopefully it's gonna get a little warmer here. My hands are a little cold because it is a bit breezy out, and from having my hands in the water with the fish, it makes them a bit chilly. All right, guys, we're gonna keep on walking here. I spooked a big one at that hole I just passed. It was probably almost double the size of the ones I had caught previously. So there's a fish like that in that hole. There's bound to be one at one of these other holes. We're just gonna keep our eye out and look for any deep pockets that have some structure to them. This is like a, I don't know what kind of bottom this is. It's just like plain rocks, flat rocks. I guess you would call it slate or limestone. I don't know the proper term for it, but it's just a shelf of rocks basically that covers the whole bottom, just one solid rock. And something that's kind of featureless like that doesn't hold too many fish unless it has kind of a drop off or ledges to it. Looks like a decent spot right here. Let's see if there's some fish. Well, guys, I just had my first sunfish bite of the day, and that is a chunky red breast sunfish that really wanted that jerkbait. Beautiful fish right there. Not exactly the target species with this lure, but I'll take it. All right, let's go ahead and unhook our red breast sunfish here. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and let him go here. There he goes. I had another one follow it and try and bite it several times, but it just didn't get the hooks. That one came up and I was looking at it, so I let it sit there and it just gobbled it up. Eyes are bigger than its mouth. All right, guys, I just finished up fishing like a long flat pool and did not get anything. So I think the fish are gonna be stocked up in some of these deep pools in between the current riffles, and not those pools that are kind of like long and empty looking. So there's a pull up here against a rock face that I'm gonna try and fish and see if we can get anything out of there. I've walked easily over a mile so far, and we're gonna walk a little bit farther and see if we can try and get some nicer fish on the day. So far we were only at 4 fish, 3 smallmouth bass and 1 red breast sunfish. Let's see if we can add some more bass in there. Sean, there's a bit of a better smallmouth, not a huge one. There we go. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Oh, chill out there. A little bit of a nicer one compared to the last smallmouth we caught. The last one was the smallest one on the day. This one's probably on par with some of the bigger ones that we caught. Let's go ahead and get him unhooked here. That way he can relax a little bit. I knew there would be one in here. There we go, not a bad little fish on the jerkbait still. All right, let's get a picture of this guy and let's let him go. There he is. Off he goes. Came right from deep in this current here up against this rock face. Right where I thought they would be. Let's see if we can pull another one or so off here. Guys, I don't know if I had a trout or bass, but some just came up, thwacked the jerkbait, and then shook the hook. Not sure what it was. I'm assuming it'd be a smallmouth because I don't know how a trout would have gotten all the way up here or all the way down here, depending on how you look at it. But it definitely had a trout kind of look to it when it turned. Would have liked to have that one back. There's got to be another fish in here somewhere though. Looks too good not for there not to be a fish. Guys, fish on. Another smallie. Decent sized one. Not bad at all. That might be our biggest one of the day actually. Let's go ahead and bring him over here so we don't lose him. Yeah, I think that's definitely one of our biggest of the day. You got both trebles here. I was just about to say I'm probably going to turn around soon, and there we go. Nice little small jaw, better than some of the ones we've caught today. Let's go ahead and get a pick and let them go. That fish there is our 5th smallmouth bass of the day. He is good to go. Probably some other ones up against this mud bank here. All right guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I've walked an insanely far distance from my car, and the holes up ahead don't look too promising. So before we end up in a different state, we're gonna end the video and end the fishing for today. We'll start off as an insanely slow and brutal day of fishing. Turned out to be a pretty decent day. We started off by fishing at that main parking lot, and we were using the Blue Fox Vibrax spinner, gold and size 0, and we hooked a trout on our first cast, but it got off as soon as I realized that it was even a trout. So that was a big letdown there, but we walked upstream and tried to fish some of the holes that I guess not too many people try and bother with, and started off by using the trout magnet after the spinner let us down, and the trout magnet was not getting the job done. The pools got deeper, the pools got bigger, so we switched to something that covered a little more water, and that was this Rapala original floating minnow, and that is what did all the work for us today. We were just fishing some deep, slow pools like this one right in front of me, in between current breaks. You can see there's current riffles over there, and then downstream we got some current in between, and then in between we got this big slow moving pool, but it's got just enough moving water that fish will hunker down in it and wait for food to pass over their heads. So then we just rip this little jerk bait across and give it a couple twitches, I usually do 2 or 3 at a time and then let it sit. And then that's how we caught all our fish today. We ended up catching, I believe, 4 smallmouth bass and 1 red breast sunfish. So not the best day numbers wise. Fish were pretty decent size for creek smallmouth. Not quite as big as a couple of the ones we caught in our last video when we were fishing out of town. And I'll probably come back to this spot later in the summer when it's a bit warmer out. Fish will get more active and hopefully we can put up better numbers then and maybe get some different species in the board or in the mix. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Feel free to leave a like, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing, excuse me, and I will see you guys on the next episode of the Ville Outdoors.